Welcome to Lifestyle Solopreneur, the community for entrepreneurs who put lifestyle first. Join your host Flavia Barris as she interviews successful lifestyle solopreneurs and shares ideas to help you find the perfect balance between lifestyle, business, and self. Flavia is an attorney, marketing expert, and founder of several online academies. She's been featured in major media including BBC World News, The Wall Street Journal, The New York Post, ESPN Television, and more. Join us for this episode of Lifestyle Solopreneur. Hey everyone, today we've got a great privilege. We're going to speak with Holly Gillen, and she is an online entrepreneur who helps people get comfortable on camera. Most online entrepreneurs are uncomfortable showing up on camera, so Holly gives them the tools they need to show up confidently so they can easily create videos that they are proud to show off and move their business forward. She does this by teaching them the skills they need to create business cinema, video with a plan, purpose, system, and strategy. Holly, welcome to the show.
Yay. Thank you so much for having me, Flavia. I really appreciate it. I'm super excited to chat with you.
I just love your work. I love what you do for entrepreneurs, especially today, because today we are really in the age of video.
Yes, definitely.
And it's funny because TikTok and some new apps, even like Instagram Reels, and went really heavy on the video. But I will tell you, I thought video was now the must do for every entrepreneur. And I actually still believe it is. But then I saw this weird, almost retro bounce back with the new app Clubhouse. And I don't know if you're on Clubhouse or have used it, but it's a new app that has zero video.
Yes, I am on it. I have used it and I have thoughts.
Let's go into those thoughts in a little bit. But before we get there, tell us a little bit about how you ended up where you are today. So what is your journey from Holly not teaching online camera to now Holly who's coaching so many people on how to do better on camera?
Awesome. I love sharing the story. So my journey started way back in 2008. I was living and working in Florida as a licensed real estate agent, and the housing bubble had burst and I was let go from my position and I was left at a crossroads. So I was like, what do I want to do? And I decided that I wanted to get involved in film, and I got an opportunity to go to a workshop hosted by the Travel Channel Academy because I was like, I want to travel and shoot video and this would be my dream job. And after I did that, I was like, I am all in. I love, love, love this. That turned into an opportunity where I got to travel around Mexico for a couple of months shooting a documentary, and it was a life-changing experience. I learned how to rock climb and surf, and I learned a lot about production while I was there. I came back to Florida. It was probably about September 2008, and I met with every production company within a 50-mile radius, and everybody's like, yeah, we're not doing anything. I was like, I'm out. I moved back to New York, which is where I grew up. And I just started interning at a documentary production company. And that's how I kind of got my start, got my foot in the door in the film industry here in New York City. And I freelanced as a camera operator, producer, and video editor for a number of years, working with like really awesome clients and working on some really fabulous projects for the Sundance Channel, HBO, Nick.com. I got to meet Forrest Whitaker and Bono and really work on some truly amazing, life-changing projects. And that was really fun. But then like around 2010, I was like, hey, what about like online video? Who's helping people make online videos? I'm like, I totally could help people make online videos. And I saw this, definite turn and need for somebody to help business owners create videos for their websites and videos for YouTube. So I started a production company and I started working with small businesses and entrepreneurs. And I realized very quickly, everybody had the same questions and concerns when it came to video, which were, hey, I want to make video, but I don't know how to make video. I don't know if I'm ready to be on camera. Whoa. I don't think I have a budget for this either. So I was like, okay, great. Went back to the drawing board in maybe about 2012. And I started another company called the Media Prep Group, where I teamed up with a public speaking coach and a media trainer. And we were hosting live events to teach business owners how to present themselves and their businesses on camera and in the media. And it was great, but wrong business model. Come to 2013 and I discovered B School and I was like, yes, I can totally take everything I know, all of these years of experience, and turn that into a DIY video online company where I can work with people from all around the world. So I did that in 2013 and I haven't looked back.
What a story. And I love that right now, when you said all around the world, you can now teach.
I mean, it used to be more geographically where you were. If you were doing a production or a documentary, there's a film crew. It's a very physical job where you happen to be in the location where you're shooting. And it gave you great opportunities. You got to rock climb and travel through Mexico, and that's amazing. But right now, as this teacher online helping to coach other people to get great on camera, you can be anywhere, but your students can also be anywhere as well.
Exactly. I can work with anybody from any part of the world.
So, what is your favorite thing about your current job? Like, what are the things that you love about what you do now compared to some of these other jobs you've had that were also great jobs? I mean, no one's going to knock being working in on a documentary and getting to travel through Mexico, right? But you're loving what you're doing now. What are some of the things that make it your best job ever?
I love creating that ripple effect for people. I love being able to see that transformation happen before my eyes when somebody comes to me and they are really nervous and a little trepidatious about being in front of the camera, not really wanting to, they're not really feeling comfortable being visible. And I get to work with them and transform that anxious, uncomfortable feeling into their power and have them go from not really feeling confident using video to being super excited about using video and being able to use video as a medium to reach their audience because their audience is out there waiting for them to show up in only the way that they can.
And so give us like 2 or 3 actionable things that someone listening right now who's thinking to themselves, "Oops, I'm so glad I'm listening to this podcast because this is a reminder I'm not doing enough video." And they probably have the same hangups and that all your students who come to you do. What are 2 or 3 things that person can do today after listening to this episode to increase the amount of video they're doing or just the quality of what they're putting out there?
Two things you can do immediately is practice in front of the camera. So just start, nobody needs to see these videos right away. If you're feeling like you're not coming across the way that you want to come across, or you're getting super nervous or you're kind of uncomfortable. I actually did this myself and turned this into a video experience that I now teach to my clients. I literally locked myself in my office studio, as I call it, and I just started making video after video because I was like, oh, this is going to be easy. I'm a professional video person, like no problem getting in front of the camera. But when I actually did put myself in that position, I was like, whoa, 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 this is kind of scary. Why am I sweating? What is happening? This is a completely new experience for me. And I know that a lot of people go through this same experience. So put yourself in front of the camera, just keep making videos. Nobody has to see them right away if you don't want to show them off, but you have to get the miles in, so to speak. You have to get that time in front of the camera because that's what's going to allow your natural personality to start to shine through. Because people are always like, well, how do I look like more like me on camera? Well, that comes with time and it comes with experience. So it's like building up your video muscles. You got to get in there and get under the camera and start doing those lifts. The other thing is like, don't be afraid to fail. Just let go of this idea of failure. Is not negative. It's only a failure if you don't learn something from it. So just keep going, get in front of the camera. Another thing is planning. Planning is key. So once you kind of overcome your fears and your nerves that have come up for you, have a plan because that will also kind of get you more prepared mentally. So you're not second guessing what you're going to talk about in your video, or you're not pondering mid video recording, like, oh, what was I going to say about that? No, there's a plan in place. And then it's like your video map, so to speak. So you know exactly what's going to happen with the video. You know how to get from where you are to where you want to go. And you're going to save time in your video recording. And you're also going to build up a greater sense of reciprocity with your audience when they're not watching your video just go on and on and on. You're straight, hashtag F the fluff, right to the point, deliver the value. And that comes by having a plan.
Those are great, great pieces of advice. And I myself am thinking, wow, just the thought of, yes, practice makes perfect, or at least practice makes more perfect, right, than you were
Exactly.
before. And if someone said, I want to get really good at, shooting basketballs, and they were to say to themselves, I'm just really going to go out there and I'm just going to get it right in the hoop the first time. Like, I want to make sure I hit it right away. I want to be good from day one. You'd laugh at them because obviously that's a skill. You have to shoot 100 hoops before you really feel comfortable with being accurate and getting it in. And so, yeah, practice makes perfect. Let's do more practice. Let's have more bad videos, right? Let's have
Yes,
more bad videos so we can get to the good ones. And I love that. So tell us a little bit about your day to day. Like, what is a week in the life of Holly?
Oh, a week in the life of Holly. This is fun and interesting. I actually just had two children within the last 3 years. So a lot has changed as far as my business landscape is concerned and how my productive day looks. Typically, I work 2 to 3 days a week, and I usually host live calls for my Video Made Easy mentorship on one or two of those days. And during the other times, I am really working on parts of my business that help me move forward. So having the two children has really helped me clarify my vision and direction of my business and has really, really taught me how to be very deliberate and purposeful with my time. Whereas that wasn't a skill I necessarily had when I was a child living my child-free lifestyle where I would sit down at my computer at 8 or 9 in the morning and work till 6 or 7 o'clock at night. I find that I actually get more done now than I did back then because I have such a limited amount of time. It's so focused and so productive. It has to be because the time that I have devoted to my business is business time. And the time that I have devoted to my children is only children time. I don't mix the two and I don't plan on.
That's fantastic. And yes, sometimes when we're forced to focus our time and narrow it, we actually, we don't have time to mess around. Like we
Exactly.
just our to-do list whittles down to the essentials and there's less daydreaming and getting lost in Google and browser blackout and because you just can't, you have a very limited amount of time, a limited to-do list, and you just got to hit it. And I'm a mom too, so I totally get where you're coming from. Absolutely. So what's something you do for absolute fun? I know you love time with your kids and family. So that's a given. But other than that, what else do you do? And maybe it's with your family, but what are you out there doing that you want to reserve that white space in your calendar for?
Oh, so many things. Let's see. I like running. So when I have the time these days, I like to get outside and go for runs. I like to go hiking. I like to do things outside, weather permitting. My husband jokes around with me. He's like, I like nature light. I'm using like air quotes. Nobody can see me, but I'm using air quotes. He says, I like nature light because I like to be outside, but I don't like when bugs land on me.
So you don't want to you don't want to like go into the off-grid living in like Alaska, but definitely a nice hike and but
Exactly.
there's not that many bugs. So where would you go hiking from where you're based? I mean, where is your favorite hike?
There's a hiking trail called Flat Rock, and it's really cool because they have like short little trails, and we've been taking the kids recently. And it's just like a nice, short, easy, fun and challenging enough to go with the kids. And it's beautiful. There's like a waterfall. And at one point we went there and there's like this big rock and you overlook the water, and a big snapping turtle swam up and the water was crystal clear. So you could see all the way down to the bottom. And it was just a memorable experience to have with my children.
Well, that sounds amazing. It sounds like a beautiful place. So for anyone who's traveling to the New York area, you want the best hike, Flat Rock is the place to go. Definitely check that out. Waterfalls, snapping turtles, and all. That sounds wonderful. So in order to have this time where you can get out into nature light and do your hikes and do your runs and be with your family, what are some ways that you have found to become ultra efficient in the narrow amount of time you have to work every day? Do you have favorite technology or favorite automations or just delegation systems or
Yes.
workflows that you can talk about and share and hopefully help another solopreneur get themselves to work shorter days so they can enjoy time with their family more?
Absolutely. So, one of my favorite tools that has kind of really helped me narrow my focus and really stay focused in on what's actually moving the needle for my business is a tool called Sunsama, Sunsama. Are you familiar with it?
I am not. So do tell, because I thought I'd heard
Oh,
of everything at this point.
Oh, I love Sunsama. So it has like a week overview, and you can create recurring tasks, or you can add in tasks per day. You can add in tasks from your Trello board, from your email account, it has a bunch of different apps and things that are integrated into it. One of the main things that I like about it is I have channels, dedicated channels. And if it doesn't fit into a channel focus, guess what? It's not getting done. If it's not part of like my three priorities for this quarter or whatever have you, then it's just going to get moved over. And it really helps me look at it's like not a running to-do list, but it keeps track of the things that are important to my business that need to get done. And it also has a time tracker, which is really something I love. You can add in how much time you think it's going to take, and then you can actually track your time to see whether or not you're being accurate with your time assessment. Because sometimes in our heads, we're like, oh, that's only going to take 5 minutes. And then you start to do it and you're like, oh, but I lost the password. Oh, I need to go over here. Oh, and then next thing you know, 25 minutes has gone by and you're like, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. That's took way longer than I thought it was actually going to take. So it helps me be realistic and focused with my time. So it has the channel. So I'm tracking the project. It has the time. It has a recurring. So things that I want to make sure I'm getting done every single day, like reaching out to people, doing things for my customers, my clients, and then doing things that are going to progress my business, like reaching out to people who might be my next customer, that sort of thing. I have those on my calendar for all of the days that I work. The other thing that I really love about it is if I don't get to something, it rolls over. And then if it rolls over too many times, it goes into the archive. So it's not forever and ever and ever on my to-do list.
So is it an automatic archive?
Yes.
Do you set a rule and you're like, if I have deferred this thing 10 times, just throw it in the archive?
I don't even know. I think it's a 4-day thing. If it rolls over, okay, yeah, it says it right here, 4 consecutive days. If it rolls over for 4 consecutive days, it just gets moved into the archive. So it's off my list. And the other thing I like about it is I can set recurring tasks. So like every quarter I go and I check up and update all my passwords. So instead of having to remember, okay, in June, I need to go and update my passwords, it just pops up, stuff like that.
That sounds like a great way to stay organized.
It's so good. I'm like the organizational queen. I love being organized.
So give us the name one more time for anyone listening.
Sun Sama.
Sun Sama.
Yes.
Check it out, folks. If you want to be as organized as Holly, check this out because it's really working for her and it sounds fantastic. So definitely
it's awesome.
Worth a look. Okay, so Holly, we were talking about Clubhouse briefly because I was very curious on your thoughts about Clubhouse as a new app and a new medium that's out there. It's hot right now. I mean, people are wanting on. It's sort of a limited app because you have to have an iPhone of a certain age. It can't even be a really old iPhone in order to use the app. And it's audio only. So there's no video. You barely have one teeny tiny photo of the person and everything else is just audio with a short bio that you can read. And so they've really just thrown it all in the future of audio chatting. And I'm curious what you think about that.
Okay, so I have thoughts, a lot of thoughts. Originally, when I first heard about Clubhouse, I was like, okay, let me go check this out. And I went on and I listened to a couple of different rooms. And granted, I didn't have a curated experience because I wasn't necessarily following a lot of people. I was just kind of popping in and out of random rooms. So it wasn't the experience that I've experienced recently. So these were my initial thoughts. I was like, this feels like such a time suck and for like nothing in return. But I was looking at it from a consumer's perspective, like consuming information. I wasn't in the right rooms, kind of felt like a 1-900 chat room from like the 90s. I was like, this is terrible. People were talking over each other. And it just was like not really helpful information and not really the best use of my time. And I was like, I don't see this happening for me. I'm like, I don't get it. I don't know what all the hype is about. And then I was invited to be a moderator for a room that Haley of Females on Fire. Haley of Females on Fire invited me to be a moderator, this was a super smart idea she had. She invited only past guests from her podcast to be moderators on her rooms, which I thought was really smart and really clever and a great way to talk about the podcast and continue to plug her podcast and a great way to already get vetted, smart, amazing women to be moderators with you and bring their genius to the conversation. When I got to be a part of that room and be a moderator and see it from that perspective, and she was such a fantastic host, I was like, okay, I see some potential here as a contributor. Maybe not as much as a consumer in the wrong rooms, maybe in the right rooms, great. But as a contributor, I see that this has a powerful application to be able to reach a wider audience, to be able to have a very in-depth, really amazing conversation with so many smart, interesting, creative people who are geniuses in their own right and in their own area of expertise. One of the things that I actually really enjoyed that I didn't get at first was during the conversation as a moderator, sometimes you got to answer the question, sometimes you didn't. I loved the fact that it's connected to Instagram. And if I wanted to continue a conversation with somebody, or I wanted to give somebody a virtual high five, like I really liked that answer, or, it was really great connecting with you on Clubhouse, I can just pop on over while the Clubhouse is still happening, go onto Instagram, send a quick DM, follow, check out somebody else's profile in more in-depth and be able to continue that conversation. Because that was originally the first thing I thought too. I was like, wait, I'm like, I have so much to say, but there's nowhere to write chat or like anything. And I can't contribute to this conversation in the way that I want to. So those are just my initial thoughts.
I love all that. Yeah. And it's something I've considered doing. So I did open a club and it's called Lifestyle Solopreneurs. And we are here in the Lifestyle Solopreneur podcast. And I did envision that it would be very much along the lines of what we do here on the podcast, which is talk about work-life balance issues and solopreneurship and how to, live more and not let work consume your life. And I thought those are great topics for a Clubhouse room and a conversation. But when I started listening in more and participating in rooms and pulled up on stages as well, I realized, wow, you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of being at a conference and the sorts of conversations you end up having when you're out waiting to go into the conference, or maybe you sit down early and you turn to the person next to you and chit chat. And then the person on the other side of you joins in the conversation, and the person in front of you in the row right there turns around and says, oh, I know that app and I love it too. And everyone just kind of starts talking about whatever their favorite topics are. And I mean, last night I was on Clubhouse and I saw a room on aviation, and we are an aviation family. It's just not a topic I speak on or look for, but I saw a room and I thought, oh, well, let me pop in there and see what the conversation's about and see if it's something I can contribute to or interesting or learn from. And then you meet people. I met a air traffic controller last night in that conversation in that room. And so it is kind of nice, and maybe in some way to give our brains a rest from video and audio and just focus on audio and people's voices is nice. I mean, we do that here in podcasting. Someone listening to a podcast episode is not necessarily going to have video. You're just listening to a great conversation. And so there's a lot of commonality there. So I agree with you. It's a great way to leverage a podcast back and forth onto Clubhouse, and also potentially to take a Clubhouse conversation, move it over into a podcast.
Yes. Yes. We should host a room. We should moderate a room. Wait, I don't know. I don't know if I'm using the right Clubhouse lingo. So don't send me any emails.
Oh, I know. I'm not a cool kid either yet. So I'm still learning for sure. But I'm a little ahead of the game because I've seen people come in who are brand new on Clubhouse. Yesterday, someone came on and he just said, I'm just here to practice speaking English, which is great, but there are rooms for that. And this particular room was like a real estate business room. And people were like, well, that's good. But, if you like real estate, stay and let's chat. But otherwise, there's specific rooms for that. So I've seen people who are newbies learning Clubhouse and trying to figure it out. And so I feel like I'm not that much of a newbie. I'm not there. I'm not in there trying to, thinking the app is for a purpose it's not for.
Yes.
But I'm also definitely not an expert at it yet. And I'm still learning the ropes. So yes, let's do a room together. I'm happy to host it on my club, which is Lifestyle Solopreneurs, or we can also do one on any room or club you want to start. I would be your gal. Just call me up and we will do it.
Awesome. Love it. I'm looking forward to that.
And so what is it that makes because a lot of people want to teach and coach online, and they want to teach and coach students all over the world like you're doing. What would you tell someone that has said, hey, look, I have a skill, this thing that I'm doing, and I'm teaching people one-on-one here locally, but I want to take this online. I want to take this global, and I want to be geographically independent. What would you tell them as their first step of something they need to look at or research or think about?
Where's the money coming from? Step one, figure out how are you generating income online? If that is different from what you're doing in person, and how do you modify that first and foremost? Second, I do my 4 why, who, what, how, and make sure I have answers to those questions. So determining how I'm generating income, who my customers are, where are they coming from, all of that kind of stuff. And then figuring out what platforms make the most sense for what I want to do. And then finding my customers online so I could start building relationships and creating connections with them prior to even building anything that's for sale. So whether that's through social media, or you're starting a YouTube channel and you're starting to create video content for that YouTube channel. So you're starting to attract people who would be interested in what it is that you have to sell, and start creating a email list of people who could potentially be your client. I can't tell you how many times I've had conversations with people and they're like, I built my whole thing. And I'm like, who are you selling it to? I don't know. I haven't thought about that yet. It's easy to get excited about an idea.
And they're like, I have, oh, I need customers. Haven't
Yeah.
really gotten to that part yet, but it's so true. And I love how you've sort of simplified the idea of a business plan because a lot of people would say, put together a business plan. But you didn't say that. You just got into the nitty gritty of, hey, what should a business plan contain? I mean, you need to know who your customers are. You need to know what is the path to finance? Like, what is the path to cash? How are
Yeah.
you actually going to make a revenue from this business? And how does that look? And everything you said is just such solid practical advice. And for anyone listening who's been thinking of venturing into the online world to teach or otherwise, I mean, you need at least a mini business plan because without that, you have no roadmap. You are just wearing a
Floating.
blindfold, like that movie with Sandra Bullock, wearing a blindfold, going down the river, holding on to your kids and the bird, just trying to not get knocked over. I think it's called a bird cage or something. So that is fantastic advice. What are ways that people can connect with you? Because I know that what you teach speaks to a lot of folks. I mean, there is a huge crowd of people that are just feeling under videoed. They are
Mm.
not on video as much as they should be. And they need a cure for that. And it sounds like you would be a cure to that. So, how do people get in touch with you?
You could find me, my website, hollygstudios.com. I like to hang out on the Insta. And if you're on Facebook, I have a Facebook group and Flavia will share the link with you.
Awesome. hollygstudios.com stands for Holly Gillen. hollygstudios.com. Definitely check out the website. Sign up for Holly's list because you definitely want to be in the know and be aware of what she's got going on and her new programs. And I really recommend that everybody give some thought to whether or not they're doing enough video and if they aren't. So if you are not doing as much video as you want, ask yourself, why is that? Because if it's
Mm.
something to do with either confidence, know-how, you just feel lost in the woods. Holly, not just an expert hiker, so she can get you out of the woods,
Can
but
get you out of
she
the
is
woods.
really good with camera. And so she'll get you out of those woods as well.
Yeah, I absolutely love what I do. And, having my professional background in video production, that is easy. I can help you with all of those things. But what I can't help you with if you're not ready is if you're not ready to be on camera, right? So if you're not feeling comfortable and confident, and I could teach you about all of the different pre-production, production, post-production, editing, graphics, lighting, all of that stuff, but it's not going to make a difference if you are not ready. So step one is get you ready. And I can help you with that as well.
So everyone reach out to Holly, connect with her. Again, find her on Insta or find her at her website, hollygstudios.com. And we will connect with her again someday soon, I hope. Thanks, Holly, for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it, Flavia.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us and I hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast, and if you leave a review on iTunes, I promise I will read every single review. If you know someone who makes a full-time living from part-time work, and maybe this is you, please visit lifestylesolopreneur.com to nominate a guest or to nominate yourself. Because remember this, money doesn't buy happiness, but money in the hands of a happy person, there is no greater tool.
Today's episode was brought to you by the Get Shift Done program. It's a lifestyle-changing online class to help you define your business and lifestyle ambitions and to set goals in a way you've never experienced before. This class will 10x your daily productivity with methods that will blow your mind. And if you use the coupon code podcast, the class tuition is 99% off. Visit GetShiftDone.com to enroll today.